Hi, I'm Gareth and this is the Venturer PrimePro 12 TS. Okay, so this is the Venturer PrimePro 12-inch TS. Touchscreen, maybe? Probably touchscreen. Sounds about right. This is a 2-in-1 tablet laptop affair, much like maybe the Surface Pro, that kind of caper. It runs Windows 10, has a month's free of Office 365, but I think that's standard anyway. HDMI, Wi-Fi certified Bluetooth, and an Intel Atom core inside. Alright, along here we don't have very much, just that it's a 2-in-1 mini laptop. Nothing on this side, and I'm guessing nothing on this side. Yep. On the back we have people not watching this video, that's for sure. Someone tapping the screen and other people continuing to tap screens. And the PrimePro. So we have a 12.2 IPS display, 4 GB of RAM, 64 GB of storage. It's the Intel Atom processor with 4 GB. Now that is up to 1.8 GHz in speed. I don't know if that says it here, but it should be. The HD display is 1920 by 1200. It's got dual cameras, built-in Wi-Fi BGN, micro SD card slot, mini HDMI output, micro USB port for charging, and up to 8 hours battery life. That's usually pretty accurate. We've looked at one of these before, and I go as far to say that whilst it wasn't the prettiest tablet to look at, it was still pretty good. I do believe last time that they included a 64 GB micro SD card, but there doesn't seem to be anything on here about that. Perhaps that was some consideration because Windows was just getting larger and larger. Okay, so we have some silica gel there. A Venturer pamphlet that has very important safety instructions, accessories, get to know your laptop, and such. In here we have the power supply. It's a fairly large bag for a fairly large box for a nicely packaged power supply with a little power connector there. What do we have on here? Switching adapter. So that's an output of 5 volts, 2500 milliamps, and stuff. Right, the main bit. Okay, well that's the tablet there. Now, oddly, what's on the back actually looks like the older version. This picture here looks like an older version. This one appears to be a little different looking, but could be keeping with the style. We also have another box inside that has another piece of hardware in it. Okay, so all nicely packaged up. Nothing's going to get too damaged. Alright, so the box dealt with, and we have this, and we have this. So, we'll have a look at this first because it looks the most interesting, and that just seems like a tablet. Right, well, straight off, this is obviously a folio that has a tri-fold cover on it, much like this. So you, like you would have seen with an iPad or however many tablets at the moment. I think everything's got something along these lines. And we have a full chiclet style keyboard here that is decently spaced. Uses every bit of space around here actually, and there's even good travel between the keys. And it would be very standard of a laptop. It doesn't feel too cheap. The last Venturer, I did think that the keys felt of a cheap plastic. These feel a step up, a good step up. And then there's a touchpad embedded here which you would barely notice. No clicky buttons or anything, so all touch action. And then along here we have the connector for the actual tablet itself. We do have an indicator here to show how to fold things up. So it folds in and round like so, to allow you to place the tablet here to give it something to lean against very simple. And I can feel there's a magnet there. Actually, that is quite hard to pull apart, so it's not going to come apart easily, especially with the weight of the tablet against it. That's kind of reassuring. The hook here is a bit of an odd hark back to the early 80s and some strange Chinese cases that I've looked at in the past. There is a little bit of rubber there actually to protect anything that this is bumping against. Probably inside as well. Whenever you fold it, that little bit of rubber will become crucial. But it's a very simple mechanism for holding things together, and I'll be honest with you, pretty flawless unless you're really unlucky. So along here we have a ridge to prop it up just a little, so that it's actually at a tiny bit of an angle. Just kind of swish. And then there's another configuration here that allows you to do this, or something. Well, we'll get the tablet out and have a look at the tablet first before we start assessing what way we could possibly set things up. Ooh, wow, very nice. Okay, so it is pretty big. It's on the heavier side of things, but it's an awful lot slimmer than the previous model. This is really quite nice, and it's not quite as industrial. Alright, so on the front we have very little other than a video camera here for Skyping or video conferencing or whatever. Here we have the connectors for the case with some pogo plugs there. There's a little "do not chuck in the bin" symbol there, and all the action is over here on the one side. So we have the micro SD card that goes in here, the mini HDMI there, that'll be the connector for the power, an exposed screw, a micro USB connector, a 3.5mm headphone jack, the power switch, a USB 3 connector, full-size USB 3 connector, and a Windows button here. Kind of odd. I can't remember if the previous one had that or not, but it's these exposed screws. Initially I thought they were a bit ugly, but now I really do actually quite like them. They're just that little kind of bit industrial that really adds to the tablet. Then along here there's nothing other than some advertising of the features that are included. We have the model number, the DC in information, CE, and HDMI, the serial number there as well, and nothing along the top. Very simple. Then on the back we have a speaker, the loudspeaker, which wasn't too bad if memory serves, but we'll assess that in the review again. The Venturer branding, and I'm just noticing this is more of just like a rubber feeling. It's got some kind of texture on it. It's almost like the plastic has been sprayed with something to make it a bit tougher and a bit more luxuriant to the finger. It's not slippy at all. In fact, if you can hear that, that's what we have. It's almost like a soft vinyl. It's nice. And then of course it has like a fleck through it, little tiny silver spots, which is sweet. And then we have the camera here, which is 2 megapixel, and actually it's worth noting that's a 2 megapixel as well. So we've got two 2 megapixel cameras on here, and then the volume rocker up and down, and that appears to be a microphone there too. So that's your lot around here. There's still some exposed screws and that kind of look to it. Okay, so we set her up like that, and it looks the biz. It really is quite a nice combination. So we would be on the train tapping away with this, and then the train comes into the station, so you put this down and then pull the flap out, whack that around there, and that's your laptop nicely protected. It's kind of nice. I suppose these bits are still exposed, which this is one cause for concern with me. Even on the previous one I did think that it might be quite easy for you to accidentally hit your micro SD card and have it spring out. but I guess that's something you're probably not going to be using terribly often. Well, I suppose with SD cards becoming quite large, and this having 64 gigabytes on it, you are going to run out of space at some point, so having an SD card in there for your onboard storage is kind of a neat idea, rather than having to rely on the USB for plugging in a hard disk everywhere you go. But yeah, I'm deeply impressed with it so far. It really is a big step up from the previous model. It looks gorgeous. So what we'll do is we'll go and get this turned on and booted up, and Windows 10 will be updated and all that sort of things, and we'll get a review up on the site in the next couple of weeks. If you have any questions or anything that interests you about it that you want me to cover in the review, let me know in the comments down below, and hit that subscribe button. Check out techaddicts.uk for any other information, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care now.